Now, let's move on to some really critical stuff here. And I've said this before, and I want to hammer it home yet again, and that is that it costs a hell of a lot more money to actually get a new customer than to service existing ones. So when you actually do get one, you want to protect that relationship and cherish it and make sure that it grows. So here are 6 strategies that will help you magnify your sales results in a huge way by taking virtually every prospect you close and turning them into a customer for life. And by the way, part of this is also knowing what not to do. You see, there are certain things that if you do them as a salesperson or as a sales manager, it will completely screw up your business. It's the worst thing you could ever do as a broker, whether it's for insurance, real estate, stocks, if you're a financial planner, whatever it is you're selling. Don't duck calls when the going gets bad. One duck call and the relationship will never, ever be the same again. And here's the thing, people will always accept bad news. What they will not accept is not being able to get in touch with you when there's bad news pending. In other words, when you're in that situation when you know something's wrong and they know something's wrong and they can't get in touch with you because you're ducking that call, that is absolute death for you as a salesman. And even worse, when you duck a phone call, not only do you look bad, but you make your company look bad as well. It's literally the cardinal sin for all salespeople. And just so you know, back in the day when I was running my massive brokerage firm, and I've always said I was doing things the wrong way, not the most ethical way, so I had a ton of customer complaints. I always made sure no matter how bad things got, every single broker returned their clients' calls, because I knew if they didn't, it would end up resulting in a customer complaint. And now when I'm hired by a company to train the sales force, the first policy I institute is that under no circumstances can a salesperson duck a phone call. I'll say it 9 times throughout the training and hammer it home again and again and again, because ducking a phone call is literally the most destructive thing you can do when it comes to building a long-term relationship with your client. Once you do it, the relationship will never, ever be the same again. Now, number 2, and this is an interesting one here, and you got to be careful with it, so do what makes sense here, but don't be totally against sending your customer to your competitor. See, if you can actually help your customer and you have a competitor who can, then don't be completely against sending them to your competitor. If you do that, you'll develop massive reciprocity. It's amazing goodwill, and it'll be the start of really you being viewed as a resource for them to really help them get whatever it is they want. In other words, they go to you whether they're sure you have it or not, because they know that if you don't have it, you'll send them to someone else who does have it. So that's really how you develop a long-term relationship with the client. So you can send them to your competitor if it makes sense. It's like in the movie Miracle on 34th Street. One of the things that happens in that movie is that Macy's, a huge department store, has a Santa. And the Santa tells a mother that she can buy the skates her child wants for Christmas at Gimbel's, which is Macy's #1 competitor, because in fact, Macy's doesn't carry skates. Now, of course, the executives at Macy's are initially furious, but the story of the generosity of Macy's spreads like wildfire, and ultimately the heads of Macy's and Gimbel end up shaking hands, creating this great relationship, and on, right? So the point is that this whole process ended up giving Macy's so much positive publicity that it's far outweighed the value of that one single lost sale. Obviously, you got to be careful if you use this strategy, but it's something to think about depending on the situation. Now, number 3, and I already talked about this before, and that is to write effective thank you notes. And I just want to discuss here the language that you want to use here. Just be careful not to make your thank you notes dry and coming from a logical place. In other words, let's say someone gave you a gift, right? You got a gift of candlesticks. You don't say, "Dear John, thanks for the candlesticks. See you later, pal, Jordan," right? You want to write, "Thank you so much for the lovely candlesticks. My wife absolutely adored them. We have them on our dining room table, and last week we had company over and they just commented how beautiful they were. I really, genuinely appreciate that. We adored them. Sincerely, Jordan." Now, that's an example just for a gift, but just notice that I came from an emotional perspective, not a dry, logical perspective. So make sure that when you're writing thank you notes to people, if they gave you a gift, or if there's any occasion you could just write a simple note, use that emotional language, words like "I loved," "I adored," "I genuinely," or "we truly like." Just make it so it elicits some sort of emotional response. Do not keep it dry and logical. Next, number 4. I want you to use your gifts correctly. You see, the worst thing you can do to someone is give them a gift that has no value to them. See, number 1, it shows that you don't really care. And 2, it shows you're just trying to bribe them, which is really not a good thing. Now, I want to tell you a story about this. Many, many years ago, when I was in the brokerage business, I had a massive monthly phone bill, about $500,000 a month. And I had this long-distance carrier that was always trying to bribe me to get my business. And one day, they sent me 4 tickets to a baseball game. Now, here's the deal. I hate baseball. So they send me these 4 tickets. They have 0 value to me. Not only that, I'm like, they're trying to give me tickets. I bet you their prices are higher than the other guys, right? They have to bribe me to get my business. Now, if the guy would have given me tennis tickets, I love tennis, right? That would have gone a long way to getting business. So here's the deal. When I say use gifts correctly, what I'm saying is you better first find out what a person actually wants in their life. I mean, not in the business sense, but personally. In other words, it's called identifying their aliveness. What makes a person feel alive outside of work? And you give them a gift to fill that need. So for me, yeah, I'm not going to be turned on by baseball tickets, but I love tennis personally. Let me do it work. So give me a gift for that, and that goes a long way towards earning some business from me. Okay, an example would be a plumber. The worst gift you want to give a plumber is a wrench. You get it? You don't want to give a plumber a wrench to try to buy his loyalty. Let's say you're a supplier, don't give him a free wrench. You want to find out maybe if the plumber likes to fish or to hunt, and maybe get him a fishing magazine. So each month, the magazine shows up on his desk, right? And he's like, oh, wow, and it says, from so-and-so, your name is on there. Now, that's a gift that actually has value. But if you give a plumber a wrench, what does it do? It just reminds him of his business and actually turns the guy off. So be very, very careful with your gifts. You want to use them correctly. You want to make sure they relate to the person's personal life, not to their business life. And if you do this in the right way, it will go a long way towards earning someone's business, at least getting your foot in the door. Then it's up to you to actually take that opportunity and turn it into a closed sale. Now here's number 5. Always give more than you pitch. What do I mean by this? Well, the last thing you want to do is overpromise and underdeliver. It's called the management of expectation. If you promise, and you deliver a lot of value, but not quite as much as you promised, you've set your customer up to essentially be ticked off at you. Instead, you want to underpromise and over-deliver. And what's important here is that you try your best to over-deliver, not take the easy way out. And again, there's going to be times where you promise and you can't deliver, but what matters is that in your heart, you always try to make sure that you manage expectation correctly. You want to under-promise and then do everything possible to over-deliver. If you do that, you're going to find yourself really going a long way to generating customers for life. Now, lastly, number 6, always leave your customer in a better place. Let me tell you what I mean by this. Sometimes, and it happens often, is that you sell your customer something, but you can actually sell them more of something. And if you sell them more of something, you'll make a bit of extra money and maybe meet your quota, but all of a sudden, what went from being a positive experience from the customer becomes a negative experience for the customer. You need to be very, very careful that after you're done with the sale, your customer ends up in a better spot than when he met you. This is the cardinal rule, really, in terms of ethics and integrity, is that every encounter between you and a customer should empower the customer. You don't want to sell customers things they don't need or essentially more of what they need. And if you do that, you'll find that over the long term, you're developing that relationship and you'll end up getting referrals and truly have a customer for life. Now, one last bonus tip here, and it's something I learned from internet marketing. When I was doing some business with some very big internet marketers, and they rely on having these lists of people, the massive lists of people. Sometimes 1 million people will be on a list. And it's a good friend of mine. He said to me, listen, here's the deal with a list of people. The money is not in your list. It's in the relationship with your list. Or else spammers would be the richest people in the world. See, it doesn't matter how many people are on your list. What matters is the relationship that you build with the people on those lists. So typically what most internet marketers do is they'll actually give out a lot of free gifts and free modules to any training sessions they have. And what happens is after they give out these free things to their clients, they develop massive reciprocity. And when they actually come to them with an offer, their results are much, much higher. They close a lot more people. So remember, the money is not in your list. It's in your relationship with your list.